Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, and welcome to a slightly irregular broadcast from our usual footing. But we've done it once before, and we're never wants to shy away from anything that may be juicy to myself and Zam. As you know, we are both big football fans. That's soccer for all the people you over the pond,
Big
and
Arsenal fans.
we're big Arsenal fans. We live in North London, so we're Arsenal fans. We could support Tottenham, but we've got better taste. So, you know. Anyway, in big news in the football fan channel world, the controversial figure that is DT has returned to our screens via his own channel, Mr. DT. Now, a quick catch up for those that don't know. DT was kind of the more prominent members of AFTV, Arsenal Fan TV, which is an Arsenal fan channel, which kind of helped explode fan channels on social media and paved the way for other um, supporters of teams to do the same thing. Or if those were around, Arsenal Fan TV kind of helped those things grow as well. And they've never been without controversy, but it's usually been the case of old media versus new media, and they laughed at new media, but in the end, they bowed to new media, and the fan channels became gods among peasants, and they just exploded in popularity. And one of the things that helped these channels explode in popularity were the big personalities that they had on these channels, and AFTV probably had some of the biggest personalities of all the fan channels.
Understatement.
Understatement indeed. And one of the biggest figures there was Mr. DT, who's, let's say, never shy of controversy. But also, look, in terms of his football brain, he knew his stuff. Okay. He was good to kind of listen to talk and give opinions on football. But the man, you can take the man out of Luton, but you can't take Luton out of the man. He was the poster child of everything that annoys me about Chavs and how just unhinged they are. And what happened with Mr. DT was basically he ended up kidnapping, allegedly. I don't know if I have to say allegedly, but I'll say allegedly. Kidnapping his ex
Well, you went to
fiance
jail
or
for it.
wife. Huh?
Well, he went
He
to
did go
jail
to
for
jail
it.
for it, yes. But he
Yeah.
kidnapped his ex-wife or ex-fiance or whatever. And there was a whole thing. Like, she'd broken up with him. She was dating other people. He couldn't take it. He snapped, grabbed her, dragged her to the car one time. Anyway, he got arrested for that. He went down. He came out, but then on a court of appeal, they put him back in jail. He was meant to serve 3 years, but he got out on good behavior again or whatever, and he's been out now for just over a month. And should people I mean, he has a history of being a bit of a, well, a cunt.
Unhinged.
Let's just
Unhinged
say that.
twat.
Unhinged twat.
Yeah.
And yeah, but he has suffered a lot of shit as well, especially in recent years. So with the kind of revelations that he'd lost his brother. His brother had died. DT nearly died because he has Crohn's disease, and he lost an uncle. And then, given that his temper was always just out of control, and he was always like looking for fights and always fixing, because he had small man syndrome. Not that he was a small man, but he has that, you step to me, I've got to prove myself all the time. That kind of small man syndrome.
But he seemed to, from what I've seen of him, he only really steps up to people he knows won't probably fight back. He picks and chooses, but when he gets stepped up to by people who are willing to give it back to him, he fucking he shrinks. He shrinks like a fucking pair of balls.
That's small man syndrome. That's what it is.
Big time.
It's you step up to the people that You know, like I know somebody in my life who does that all the time, and then when I just sit back, I'm like, yeah, go punch him, it's fine. They run away. So it's like I know people like him. They always give it the big one to the little ones, but if it's somebody that's going to step up to them, they're like a fucking mouse. And you know, so there's a lot of things to kind of dissect here, but the main question is, should he be allowed to return? I mean, you know,
On YouTube or AFTV?
no, on YouTube, on AFTV, like whatever, man. You know,
Well,
it
there's
doesn't
people
matter.
who've done worse, I think, have been back on YouTube, in my opinion. And other criminals have gone back on YouTube for maybe not as bad as what he's done, but definitely have been convicted for things like fraud or whatever, and they still get given second shots. You know,
fraud. I mean, you know, fraud is just, you know, fraud is mild in terms of like the psychological damage it does to a person or the physical damage it does to a person. It can fuck somebody up financially, but things like fraud you can overlook. That's why a lot of fraudsters kind of get more popular the more they're convicted, because people are just interested in that role. But when we're talking about somebody who's done for domestic abuse here, and we only know of the incident that occurred, we don't know what's happened during their relationship, what he was like with his missus during the relationship. He might, you know, I don't want to speculate, but let's just say you don't know what he was like with his missus and what caused the breakdown of the relationship. What we do know is that he attempted to kidnap her and, you know, just wouldn't have it, letting her move on with her life.
yeah, I
so
agree.
the question is, sorry, go on.
No, I just want a few comments here. Bossman, he's in the comment section here. He knows that AFT has done some drama last year's. Mate, they're full of drama. It's their middle name, which is why, in a way, Robbie has kind of like just realized now that he's got a hardcore base of viewers that will watch him religiously, regardless. But he's kind of diluted the characters now. He's got fucking soy boys and people like that who are part of his contingent. And there's nothing wrong in being a soy boy, by the way, just so you know. But he's got a few lesser known, less controversial characters in his contingent who are not going to cause a stir like people like DT would have. And then the main guy's a bit of an idiot. Are you talking about Robbie here? Possibly. I mean, but all the people that really brought Robbie to the big time, but it wasn't just Robbie on his own, but it was everyone else in AFTV, like Troops, like Mo, like Claude, like Heavy D, even, and which DT mentioned in his video. They're all gone, and Robbie's obviously.
I mean, to be fair, Heavy D passed away as well.
So yeah. Heavy D and Claude passed away, but they were banned by Robbie before they died, and so Robbie obviously used those people to catapult himself. He's got over 1 million subscribers now. He's guaranteed to constantly get viewers. He's got new characters, so to speak. Maybe not as maybe never the same, and will never have the same sort of catchphrases as the previous crew. But he's kind of content now, and he probably doesn't want the drama to go with it as well. But controversy equals cash, as Eric Bishop once said. So so maybe the drama can be good now.
Well, let's put it this way: since Arsenal have been doing really, really well, Man United TV or whatever the channel is now with
United Stand or some shit.
The
like
United
that.
Stand, that is overtaking him now. It's the most popular fan channel.
Yeah, but they're all fucking losing their minds, aren't they?
Because there's because again, Man United aren't doing that well, so that's where all the drama is, and that's where people are going. But even that channel's like people have split, have gone their own way. So now, like the main crux of the United Stand is just one main guy, Goldbridge, and then a couple of other little guys.
He's very talented, by the way.
Gone, huh?
He's talented. Like the guy, he's got like a gig on TalkSport. Goldbridge has.
Oh, mate, Goldbridge is fantastic. I like the guy. I really rate the guy. I think he's a genius. Like, I watch his stuff all the time, mainly for the meltdowns, if I'm being honest. But I like his football brain as well. I've got no hatred for the fucking guy and what he's
got
created.
Good one-liners as well.
Yeah, like, hello T, welcome. DT is a fool. Yeah, we'll get on to all of that as well. Just quickly
I pity the fool.
on night. So, I mean, for me, when I stopped following AFTV was, funnily enough, the last time we made a video on the matter was when Mo was kicked out, and I found that very hypocritical. And Robbie really cucked to his sponsors because El Toro are Israeli company, and they must have had a word with him about, because for years
I
Mo
never knew
was
that, by the way.
yeah, one of his sponsors was El Toro. Again, this is just speculation on my part, but I'm pretty sure they had words with him because they're quite known for things like this. Had words with him about Mo, because before that Mo was always defending Palestine and having Palestinian symbols, and then all of a sudden he gets an Israeli sponsor, and it's like, bye bye Mo. And so I lost a lot of respect for AFT. In fact, I lost all my respect for AFTV. I don't watch them anymore. Just because Robbie's gutless, he'll do the Black Lives Matter thing and allow people to take a knee, but when it comes to the Palestinians, fuck them, kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
after that, I was just like, okay, I'm done. But that being said, I understood why he threw other people, not threw other people out under a bus, got rid of, like Heavy D was just an annoying idiot. I never liked the guy, so I don't really care. But if you do
Claude?
racist jokes like Claude, then it wasn't his first incident. You know what I mean? That wasn't his first incident. He's had controversies with remarks like that in the past, and so this was just.
But my counter to that is Troops, who would say some of the most outlandish, borderline beyond racist shit himself. I will never forget that time when he mentioned about this Turkish player running down the wing and you're probably running to get a kebab. Yeah. And that sticks to me. And that, why is he able to get away with that? And because I've said this about him on many occasions, that because he's multicultural in various ways regarding ethnicity, he feels like he can say the P word, the N word, and all of this shit continuously. You know what I mean? And get away with it. And I'm thinking, damn, man. You know what I mean? Like,
that goes down to the hypocrisy of Arsenal Fan TV, which I was about to get to, where Troops can literally yell abusive shit at a woman in front of him, call her the most irredeemable stuff, like I think it was calling that fucking bitch and whore and all this kind of shit, and that goes on Troops' channel, no problem. And yet you get people like Claude that are just thrown away, whereas Troops just consistently is allowed to.
Tim Eufer said, sorry, DT has always come across unhinged, childish prick, even before his conviction. Actually, there is some YouTube videos out there of just DT losing his absolute shit. You know, like when they were doing the COVID watch-alongs, at this particular spot, and just a handful of people watch the game. There'll be obviously what's the word? I forgot the phrase now. Social distancing, and all of that, and then eventually, because Arsenal were going through a bit of a shit period at that particular time, he wanted to break things. He was throwing phones on the floor. He was wanting to break a chair and stuff like that. The guy was totally unhinged, and you could just see everyone else, like there's a lot of passionate fans there, but even the passionate fans are looking at someone like DT thinking, "Fucking hell, mate, you're nuts." You're absolutely nuts. I remember people like White Yardy and Kalechi looking at DT like, "What the fuck's wrong with you?" And all of that. And then people like Ty obviously loses he loses himself a bit, but he only does it verbally. He doesn't start breaking things. I'm no fan of Ty, by the way. I despise the little dickhead. But nevertheless, he doesn't take it as far as DT does when it comes to actually being a bit sociopathic. And he was unhinged, so I wasn't surprised. And regarding the alleged kidnapping, what always bugged me about that was, this is a guy who pretty much made it in his life. Like, he's been given an opportunity. He's a YouTube celebrity. Not many people has that luxury. And he's obviously going to be making decent money. He's going to be famous for a long time and all of that. So what? That his ex-girlfriend's now going out with another guy. Get over it, mate. You are fucking minted. You are sorted. You got what everybody else probably wants in this world now. To be a social media sensation. And he fucking blew it, and And it's really sad. By the way, Bobby thinks he's a legend. Well, he's a leg end, that's for sure.
Bell end.
Yeah, bell end. Tim, you sent him getting sent of when AFT faced Man United showed how insane he actually is. I mean, yeah, we're all big Arsenal fans. You know, we support Arsenal. We support the national team. All of this stuff. We get really happy when our team does well. We get really sad when it doesn't. But my God, you got to draw a line somewhere. You know what I mean? There's so much more important things in this world than fucking football.
Yeah, but I mean, look, again, like I've said before, you could take the man out of Luton. Now DT is like your poster boy for chavdom and everything that I hate about chavs. You know, just this constant need to be so confrontational and argumentative, and you know, just lacking the IQ to understand the most basic things. And exactly to what you said, Zam, was the man had it all, but his ego just got in the way. It just got in the way like a standard narcissist, and he couldn't let it go. He never thought, you know, yes, like you could argue, okay, he was going through a lot of mental health stuff at the time, but there's a limit. Go and get help. Go get help. I've gone through like insane mental health issues, and I got help at the time, and it was the best thing I ever did. And he didn't. He blew it all away. He blew it. AFTV was wrong what they did to Mo. Yep, we just talked about that, Bobby. I said
Damn right.
that was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. I stopped following AFTV after that because it was massive hypocrisy. Massive. For years you had no problem with Mo sharing his support for Palestine, but as soon as, again, this is speculation on my part, but as soon as you start getting sponsors from Israeli companies like El Toro, all of a sudden it's not okay to talk about Palestine. And Robbie, I have to agree with one thing where I said it, like DT's video that he just released. I have to agree about one thing. Robbie is like very just loyal to Robbie, and he will take anything that builds his brand, and then once he knows he doesn't need you, he'll just chuck you to one side. He didn't need Mo. Mo was not like people loved Mo, but it was never like the the biggest kind of character. So it was easy to chuck him. Troops has done way worse than anyone else, and he still keeps him around because he's a money draw. DT, if you've watched DT's video, Robbie was with him even after the incident happened, and he was aware of what happened, and they were going to release a statement. They were going to sit together and release a statement on DT's channel about the incident and about what's going on before it broke out in the press. But as soon as it broke out in the press, according to DT, so you could take about as much his word for it as anything else he's ever said. But as soon as it broke out in the press, AFTV were very quick to distance themselves and say that what DT did was disgusting, which was the right thing to do in the first place. But right, you all can't always use mental health as an excuse for shitty behavior. It's not accepting yours. I agree. I agree. And to be fair, he in this video, he has accepted what he did was wrong. He's accepted responsibility, and he hasn't dragged anyone's name through the mud like his ex and all this kind of stuff. But if you're texting Robbie saying, look, I don't know if I could do this anymore. My mental health is really bad. And you don't go seek help, especially when you've got the money, then you've got no one to blame but yourself. Like DT had money. He was making a lot of money at the time. And so he easily could have just gone and got counseling or left everything. Yes, DT's made a video. Sam, let me see if I've got the link. I can post the link for you. Hang on.
Yeah, I got it. I got it. 1 sec. I can post the video. DT has made a video. We won't be showing it, unfortunately, but here is the link to the video. I'm just putting it up right now.
Yeah, there's a link, and go watch it. It is interesting. Like I said, at least he accepts responsibility for what he did. But we snooker, that's not the right person you go and seek help to. Robbie's not a psychologist. I mean, when you're texting Robbie that again, according to DT, this might not be true. But no, don't watch it now. Wait for us to finish. Damn it! Come back. Don't leave us, Bobby. But when you text somebody like about your mental health and they text back with a thumbs up and okay, that's not really the right person to go and see for mental health. You know, you should have gone and seen a psychiatrist, a counselor. Sorry, I did it. It's great. I can't recommend it enough. I will always sing their praises because it's the right thing to do. You distance yourself from everyone and you focus on yourself. But he didn't do that. It was too dumb to think about doing that possibly, and he let his ego get in the way, and he just did what he did. But unfortunately, football fans are fickle. They don't really care. So DT will be allowed right back in. His video will now skyrocket in popularity. And if you read in the comments, everyone's just welcoming him back with open arms and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was reading all of that.
And it won't be long until he puts his foot up his arse again. And we're right back to square one. People, I mean, look, if your mental health ain't right as well, don't go on social media. That's all I can say. Like, you could do your videos and do your AFTV stuff.
Yeah, don't be a Kanye
but
West.
Don't read the comments. Don't do your Twitters and all this kind of stuff. There is ways where you can maintain your career and not get drawn into the toxicity. But he couldn't help himself. He had to binge everything. Like, he blocked me on Twitter. And did he block me on YouTube as well? No, he didn't block me on YouTube. But he blocked me on Twitter when I was just calling out his hypocrisy. And but he's not the only one. Yeah, Lee Gunner's another one. But yeah, Zam, you got anything to say? I'll just finish off this drink.
No, like regarding DT and Robbie, like if I knew somebody pretty well, even, and I found out that they were a kidnapper, that's it. We're done. You know, you might have had a decent bond and all of that. And Robbie might be obviously keeping his eyes close to the scenario and situation, but then you get convicted. Like, how do you expect this guy to want to be friends with you after that? You know, you did the crime, you do the time, and then you expect people like Robbie just to be there for you. I mean, I have no love for Robbie. Just make sure you understand that he is a money game for him with Arsenal Fan TV, which is why he's got rid of prominent players like Claude and Mo, and obviously DT now. But I don't blame him for moving on from DT at all. What he did was totally unforgivable, and he got convicted for it. Now DT, he comes across as very calm, cool, and collective in the video he's made, but it's only a matter of time before that ticking time bomb sets off, and he's going back to old ways. And mental health, for me, people go on about mental health, they go on about bipolar disorders and stuff like that, and sometimes for me, it's almost like people get a pass for being a cunt, and you see that with people like Kanye West, and in myself and Ginger Group, we're both part of an atheist YouTube community, and there was a couple of people we knew back in the day who mentioned they were bipolar, and they were constantly being fucking assholes all the time, and people telling me to leave off them, they're bipolar, while this person's being a fucking bastard. Mental health issues can only take you so far before people say, you know what, fuck you, I'm wiping my hands with you and moving on. As somebody who was a bit off the rails myself, one of the things I did was I quit smoking, and it's one of the best things that's ever happened to me. But I feel so much more, better mentally for it as well. I don't have withdrawal symptoms or anything like that. I've given up vices that, in a way, made me a very bad person, and by doing so, I feel so much better for it. I am no longer that person anymore, and I'm very proud to say that.
The irony is you're more chilled since you stopped smoking weed than when you were smoking weed.
Yeah, exactly. But you get the withdrawal, and then obviously when you are smoking it, somebody can ruin your buzz, and then that pisses you off as well, and all of that. I feel the need to smoke it now and again, and all of that. I still get that urge within me, but I'm not doing it anymore. I've got more fucking money in my skyrocket. I feel a lot better. I feel a lot better. Yeah, I put on a bit of weight, unfortunately, because that's what happens. but nevertheless, mentally, I'm in a much better place. But someone like with DT, I think there was nothing he could do that could make him in a better place. The guy became a YouTube sensation. That should be, the cure to your illnesses, But it wasn't. It was just never enough for somebody like him. And
when you're put that comment up by Tim there, because it's a good one. It's a nice comment. DT wants to help himself. He should focus on family and not the limelight for a while. I agree. That's a great comment. And coming back, look, I get it. It's probably going to be his only form of revenue now that he's got a criminal record and all of that.
He had a criminal record before this, I think.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. This is probably his best avenue for making money now. And the problem is like, for me, I can't forgive domestic violence. I really can't. I think it's one of the most disgusting things you could do as a person, apart from rape and murder. And it's just irredeemable, because once you cross that line, it's just, there's no excusing it. And I've seen it before. I know people in my family, not in my family, but I know people, and I know what bipolar is like. I don't think DT is bipolar at all. I think he's just a fucking narcissist, with a just ill-tempered narcissist. That's it, with small man syndrome. Okay, that's what DT is, and he always has to prove himself. Huh?
A bully.
And a bully, yeah.
Yeah.
And a bully. And when people bit back, when you have that kind of ego and people bite back, you can't handle it, and your world falls apart, because you're not in a situation where you can control the outcome anymore. When you're on social media, you don't have control over the outcome. You can block people, but it still bleeds through. And when it's relentless, and when your own behavior is coming back at you tenfold, it will drive you insane, and it's just simply what happened. But this is the DT we know that since AFTV. We don't know what the fuck he's like. He was probably always like this, even before AFTV, especially the small man syndrome. I mean, somebody who's that confrontational has been like that from a young age. It's the environment they've grown up in. This is constantly to prove your masculinity, and when actual men step up to you, you always cower, because that's what people like that do. And so it's going to be interesting to see moving forward what if Robbie and AFTV say anything, or if they just keep stum and keep to themselves. It's going to be interesting to see if other former members of AFTV say anything. I know Lee Gunner is probably going to say anything, because he's never wanted to shy away from running his mouth off when it comes to DT. He's got no love for DT.
Yeah.
And so it'll be interesting to see what he says.
I'll tell you this. I think DT, he doesn't lose his season ticket by going to jail, does he?
No.
So, because I watch Mo Hader's channel, and he goes to home games still, but he's obviously a season ticket holder. He goes to away games as well. He's been known to do that. And DT is going to be probably doing the same as well. And he's going to be lurking about, because there's going to be obviously people who are not fond of Robbie. And like Mo, I find Mo to be a bit more the tragic one, because I always thought Mo was hard done by. I can understand with DT.
Of all the people, he was the one that was. That's why I stopped following AFTV, because he was hard done by.
But DT's still going to be going to the games. I'm sure he's going to maybe try and photobomb, some of the interviews and stuff like that.
He's gone back to games, and I think there was a game against Man City where Robbie spoke to him about what he wants to do, if he wants to come on camera and all this kind of stuff. So he mentions it in his video.
But wasn't that when he was like he was gone missing for a little while, and then people wondering where DT was?
Oh,
and that's because he was already arrested, but he hadn't been convicted by then. I think he might have been out on bail or some bollocks like that. And then he still had to go to court, and he was missing for a little while. But now he's out of jail.
Put Tim's comment up.
I'm sorry. I heard Arsenal took his season ticket off him.
Possibly. Maybe I misheard what he said in the
I'm
in the
sure he's
video.
got connections, where he can blag a ticket of someone and go in their seat or
Well,
whatever.
yeah, we'll find out when
He's a
the next
diehard dude.
games
That
are.
guy,
Yeah,
he needs to inject Arsenal into his fucking veins. Like the guy's got fucking a clock tattoo, the clock end tattooed on his fucking neck.
yeah.
He like being Arsenal and and him there is a symbiotic relationship. So
That's probably what killed him more, was not being able to go to the games than
yeah,
anything else.
exactly. So it'll be interesting to see if he does hang around the Emirates, if he's going to bump into Robbie again and so on, and all of that. I would very much like to see how that pans out in the future, because there's a lot of people who despise Robbie who are Arsenal fans, and some of them just
Yeah,
hate AFT. Some of them hate AFTV. Like some of them hate AFTV, thinking that they've ruined the club when they're just. I never thought that. Like, AFTV's got nothing to do with Arsenal's performances on the pitch, regardless of how you feel about AFTV. It's nothing to do with them, but people they need somebody to blame, so they blame
yeah.
Robbie. He's a black guy too, so he's easy to blame. But I've noticed a lot of the people who blame Robbie are neckbeards. You know what I mean? And
No, gammons, mate,
yeah,
gammons,
sorry,
not
I
neckbeards.
apologize. Yeah,
Gammons.
National Front
Yeah,
wannabes.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Always your fucking
People
skin-headed twats.
with fucking the Union Jack tattooed on their fucking bollocks.
Yeah.
You know
But
what
you
I
see,
mean? So
the problem is people will always scapegoat the smaller man. They it's so embedded in their psyche to blame your fellow working class person than it is the authority behind the actual chaos, that I was never surprised that AFTV always bears the brunt of abuse. But I kept a note of a lot of those Twitter handles, and I went back and I'm like, oh, look, Arsenal top of the league. I guess AFTV is to blame for Arsenal being top of the league, are they? Are we to blame for buying Gabriel Jesus? Are we? Are we to blame for beating Chelsea? Are we? And all that. And they just block you because they know they're full of shit. If anything, AFTV helped fuel change at the club. It's just that the owners are crap, and it's taken some time. But now, now that things are good at the moment,
well,
hopefully it
and let's be
translates into
honest
a
as well.
trophy
Let's
or
be honest as
two.
well. Like a lot of these Arsenal fans would love to have what Robbie's got, because he's basically created a brand, a business, a money making scheme for being an Arsenal fan. But
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of these, without for a lot of these fans, it's a black guy doing it, and they just don't fucking like it. You know what I mean? And he's brought this multicultural fan base with a variety of different shades. You know what I mean? It's not a fucking blighty brigade like a lot of these guys would probably want it to be. But when I look at Arsenal, I look at it as one of the most multicultural fan groups in the world. Like, there's always a variety of different shades when it comes to our fans, so it's always going to
Yeah.
be that
Man
way. You look
United and
at
Arsenal have the most
yeah,
multiracial fan base from all over the
exactly.
world. Like, you go to Nigeria, fucking hell, they're Arsenal mad down there.
A lot
Arsenal
of that's to
mad.
do with Arsene Wenger as well, because
Yeah,
he's so popular in Africa, mate. They fucking love him in
yeah. Look,
Africa.
I mean,
So
we love what he did, but like anything,
yeah,
your time was up, mate. Your time was up. He was buying shit players. Didn't have a plan B for any tactics, and he just had to go. It's time to
yeah.
go.
We became B-Tech Barcelona, man. Like, he's buying all these bullshit little players like Denilson and stuff. Like, you're trying to make us like these guys, but we were nothing like them. I mean, some of the people that brought Arsenal to the table were powerhouses like Petit and Vieira and Campbell and Gilberto and Edu. Like, we never had any of those in our
Yeah,
midfield
and you
anymore.
replace
You
them
know what I
with
mean?
like Stepanovs and Luzhny and Denilsons
Yeah.
and oh god,
Oh god, yeah.
oh
Like, just
fucking hell.
absolute crap. So yeah, unfortunately, he got, he's like a lot of people. Like, eventually they just think that they can do no wrong. He stayed at Arsenal for longer than he needed to stay at Arsenal, because he was the emperor's new clothes with him. He was the king of the castle. People said that he could have gone to Real Madrid. Sorry, darling. He said he could have gone to Real Madrid. If he went to Real Madrid after 3 months, he would have been on his ass, because he would
Yeah,
have, if he took his Arsenal philosophy to Real Madrid, they would have fucking sacked him within days. Because it wouldn't have worked, and it wasn't working. I'm glad he's gone. But anyway, that's just a tangent on Wenger. Any more regarding DT?
um, not really. It's going to be interesting to see just what happens in the future. And I'll say it now. It's a ticking time bomb because people like that don't change. So how long before? And I
He
do
kidnaps
think that,
Robbie. He's like, Robbie, get the fuck in the back of my car, Robbie. Like, grabs Robbie.
yeah,
Like,
he kidnaps Robbie. Yeah.
yeah, fucking take you. I was supposed to take my missus. You know what I mean? And yeah,
Yeah, but
exactly.
let's see. Like
yeah.
people could protest and get him kicked off of YouTube and things like that, which they're in their rights to do. Again, like I said, I've got no sympathy for people who do domestic violence at all. So let's see. Will he last? Will it become very, very popular? Who knows? Who knows? I just, I just get help, make amends, and keep your mouth shut, and just focus on the football, and then, let bygones be bygones. That's all I can say. You can't go shitting on Robbie after you did what you did, because Robbie's within his rights to change his mind last minute if he wants to. If he was supporting you up until it happened, fine. And then he changed his mind when the media got out. Tough shit. That you should be grateful. At least he was willing to support you up until it broke out. So yeah, that's it. I ain't got nothing else to say. Zam, you got anything to add?
No, not really. But anybody else who's new within who are football fans, we're actually more of a nerdy channel. Hence, we're called NerdTube, and we mainly talk about all the stuff like Marvel, DC, Star Trek, Star Wars, and everything in between. Like The Boys. I did a review of The Devil's Hour. That's who we really are. But we also, myself and Ginger Greek here, we happen just to be also a couple of Arsenal fans. We love our football as well, and we thought we'd talk about this because it was straight off the press, hot news, and yeah, we wanted to give our say on it. But usually we won't be talking about football that much unless it's something as spicy as this. But most of the time it's all the nerdy stuff. So please subscribe to us because we are the greatest YouTube channel you've never heard of.
Yeah, and any controversies surrounding fan channels, we'll be on it like Sonic. Even if it's not Arsenal Fan TV, we'll be on it. But thank you to those that joined us and spoke in the comments. Thank you, Tim, Bobby, Snooker, anyone else that contributed. We always appreciate comments. It keeps things ticking over and gives us something to talk about. So until next time, bye, Felicias.
Adios.